Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I am your host as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be taking a look at the AEW Wrestle Dream pay-per-view that happens live tonight. This is where I'm going to be giving you my predictions for the main card. There is 3 matches on the 0 hour pre-show, but none of them have any interest of mine, to be honest. So we will just focus on the main card. And as always, feel free to leave your predictions in the comment section below. So there are 9 matches on the main card and a special appearance from Swerve Strickland as he addresses the offer from MVP 2 weeks ago on the 5th anniversary of Dynamite. A lot of speculation online whether Bobby Lashley will in fact make his AEW debut tonight. I believe personally that he will. I think that Swerve will turn down MVP to stay with Prince Nana, and then Bobby will attack him. This will then set up a big match between Swerve and Bobby at a future pay-per-view. So the Hurt Syndicate in AEW will definitely be an interesting one, especially considering MVP has spoke out many times about how the Hurt business were held back in WWE in regards to the likes of creative. The first match that we will look at is the Beast Moros versus Hologram in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So these two guys have been on fire lately, getting their opportunities originally on Collision and then on Dynamite just to show how good they are in the ring. Hologram is still undefeated in AEW since his debut. He has 6 singles wins, 5 trios wins and 3 tag wins to his name so far. And to be honest, I would expect him to pick up the win in this match. The Beast Moros will probably pick up the first pinfall, followed by back-to-back wins from Hologram as he fights from underneath in an underdog situation that fans love so much. Also, if they are to push on with this and get a storyline out of it, then I'd say that we could even see Roosh and Dralistico join Moros in attacking Hologram after the match is finished. So up next is Chris Jericho versus Mark Brisco for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Now, by the way, there hasn't actually been any sort of inkling to which match goes where on the card, apart from obviously the AEW World Championship or main event. So I'm just picking off matches one by one just to look at in a random order, if you like. So, there are a few matches on this card with very little build, and I'd have to admit this one is definitely one of those with little build. Jericho had reopened his feud with Orange Cassidy not so long ago, and in a multi-man tag match, Jericho managed to get a pinfall victory over Brisco. So then naturally, Jericho wanted a shot at the title. A harsh exchange of words between the two, and the match for the title was on. I'll admit it's a hard match to pick a winner. On one hand, giving Brisco a win against a top name like Jericho will give some credit to his run, which so far has consisted of just random weekly defences on Ring of Honor television. But if Tony wants to try and get more eyes on the Ring of Honor product, then Jericho is definitely the guy to do that. During his last run as the Ring of Honor World Champion, Chris Jericho probably had the most consistent run of solid matches in his career. The Open Challenge became a genuine talking point between fans each week. So for me, I'm going to pick Jericho as I feel Brisco's reign has been mainly flat, and Jericho adding the Ring of Honor title to his learning tree gimmick and faction would add something extra to it. Fans seem to also be getting behind Big Bill at the moment, so who knows, this may be a way to get the title on Bill eventually. We could see Jericho having a heel turn on Big Bill as he's getting over with the fans. And then eventually we could have Bill versus Jericho for the title. So up next we'll look at Darby Allin versus Brody King. Now these two have a lot of history that spans back to Defy on the Indies. They've also faced off in AEW on more than one occasion during 2022. Going into this pay-per-view, Darby Allin lost against Jack Perry for the TNT Championship, and then lost his shot at Bryan Danielson and the AEW World Championship to Jon Moxley. So he issued an open challenge for someone to step up and face him at the Grand Slam pay-per-view. A challenge that Brody brutally accepted. During the Continental Classic at the end of last year, Brody got to show how good he was in a single star, having spent most of his time as part of a trio, a House of Black, since he joined AEW. Since then, though, he hasn't had an opportunity to push on and get a shot at a singles title, so he'll be looking to do that at this pay-per-view because a victory over a star, the likes of the caliber of Darby Allin, will give him credit to push on and earn a shot at maybe, say, like a TNT or an international championship. For me, I think Darby gets the win though here and starts his climb back up towards his goal of the last 5 years of becoming the face of AEW and the World Heavyweight Champion. Jay White versus Hangman Page. Hangman Page has been one of the stars of AEW for 2024. His rivalry with Swerve Strickland has been the best in the company's history so far, and after beating him at All Out in a steel cage match, which is a match of the year contender by the way, he has been on a rampage to punish anyone who has wronged him in the past year. Jay White, on the other hand, failed at his one shot at the AEW Championship last year and hasn't been able to gain that momentum back in regards to single success. He has held the Trios Championships in AEW just before he was injured and had to take a long period of time off. After Hangman faced Juice Robinson on the 5th anniversary of Dynamite, Hangman continued to punish Juice until Jay White made the save for his stablemate and went after Hangman Page, putting him through a table in the process. Jay has since made it known that he plans to go for the AEW World title again in the near future, and a victory over the former World Champion would definitely put him back on that path, and that is why I'm going with Jay White for the victory, as I see the World title around his waist in the next couple of months. Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship. Now, this is the only women's match on the main card at Wrestle Dream, but having said that, I'm sure they'll be given ample time to show what they can do in the ring against each other. This past week on Dynamite, Willow won a fatal 4-way match to earn this opportunity at the title, but these two actually have a bit of history before that. Mariah May actually defeated Willow in the final of the Owen Hart tournament to earn her shot at the AEW Women's Championship at All In, which she won defeating her mentor and former friend, Toni Storm. Since winning the title, we have seen Mariah leaning more into her newfound heel role, and I think she just needs that one top babyface to have a good feud with for a couple of months to solidify her reign at the top of the AEW Women's division. And who better to do that against than Willow, who is massively over, especially with the younger of AEW's fan base. So I'm going for Mariah May to retain on this one, as she's not had the title long, and for this to be the start of a feud to last a couple of months before the return of Toni Storm. Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata for the TNT Championship. So this is another one of those matches without much of a build, but I do think that it will not harm the match at all. Since returning to AEW with his new attitude, we have seen Jack improve so much, not just on the microphone and with his gimmick, but he's also improved in the ring. Perry has held the title now for over 100 days, and only 3 other champs before him have achieved such a feat with the TNT title. Shibata, on the other hand, is one of the best in ring that AEW has to offer. He has a power and can dominate an opponent, but he is also technically gifted and can wear down an opponent before making them tap out, as we've seen when he held the Ring of Honor Pure Championship not too long ago. For me though, I'm going for Jack Perry to retain, but not without some sort of heel tactics and possible shenanigans. So up next we look at the Young Bucks versus Private Party for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Now this is the only tag team match on the main card, and it's for tag titles between two teams that have some history in AEW against each other. Way back at the start of the company, Tony Khan held a tag team tournament to determine who would be the first ever AEW tag team champions. During this tournament, Private Party shocked fans and eliminated the favourites, the Young Bucks. We'll fast forward a few years and the Young Bucks are into their third reign with the titles, which is a record within the company. And Private Party are still yet to wear gold around their waists in AEW, due to long-term injuries and admittedly some bad booking. Cough. Brothers A. Recently, the new and more aggressive BCC attacked Private Party, and Jon Moxley told them it was because they are in the same position they were in 5 years ago, as they failed to push on and make a name for themselves. And well, he's not wrong, but that has awoken something within the team, and they have now got a chance to show the world that they can be the team of the division. Only problem with that is the fans just aren't as behind them as they were 5 years ago, and the Young Bucks have struck gold leaning into their EVP roles on television, and that is why I'm going for the Young Bucks retain. Up next we have Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita for the International Championship. Oh baby, now this is one of the matches I am looking forward to the most on this card. Since Ricochet joined AEW, fans have been talking about the potential for him and Will Ospreay to finally mix it up once again in the ring, which they did on the 5th anniversary of Dynamite. The match though ended in a tie, much to the annoyance of the fans, but it was officially restarted so we would have a winner. Only problem with that though was that Takeshita had seen enough. He came into the ring and laid both guys out. He held the title high above his head, signalling his intent to the world. This may actually be the hardest match of the night to predict. We have the two-time and current champion having an absolute stormer of a debut year within AEW, Will Ospreay. Ricochet hasn't lost a match yet since coming into AEW and has been on a roll himself. And then you have Takeshita, who has the potential to rise up to the star level of Kenny Omega, especially after this excellent showing in his debut G1 Climax tournament in New Japan this past summer. But he is yet to hold a title in AEW. I'm going for a Takeshita win here. I think it's his time to start to climb the ladder in AEW, and a good solid run with the Workhorse title is the way to start. That plus it would probably continue the storyline that we've been building between Ospreay and Don Callis. And could we finally get the answer to whose side is Kyle Fletcher on tonight? I think he will play a part in the finish, helping Takeshita to get the win. It's just whether or not it will be on purpose. So that will lead us to the main event. It's Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship. So now, while you may be able to say some of these matches don't have much of a build at all on this pay-per-view, you can't exactly say that about this match. Since Jon Moxley's return to AEW after losing the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship back to Tetsuya Naito, we have seen a darker, more aggressive side of Mox than we've ever seen before. Bryan Danielson, on the other hand, has been on a great run these past few months, which included him picking up the AEW World Championship along the way in an epic match at All In versus Swerve Strickland. This, though, has led to Moxley and his new look BCC turning on Bryan at the All In pay-per-view, with Claudio striking first before Mox put a bag over Bryan's head until he passed out. All this was happening while Pac was holding back a visibly upset Wheeler Yuta. Bryan and Mox originally had an idea to create a faction that would help them to build up others whilst also pushing themselves to the limit, an idea that Mox has said Danielson has abandoned for selfish reasons. The BCC has being my favourite faction in AEW, and with Mox being my favourite wrestler for the past 5 years, it's no surprise that I'm going to pick him for the win. And this will then solidify him as the first ever 4-time AEW World Champion. The only issue with my prediction is that Danielson has said that when he loses the title, he will retire from full-time wrestling, which is obviously something I don't want right now. But it would make sense for him to retire in his hometown and against Mox, who is the perfect person to retire him and given their history together within the company. I do expect Wheeler Yuta to play a part in this, whether it be actually during the match or afterwards, maybe even a heel turn on Bryan, and him once again joining the BCC. But who knows? So there you have it. That is my predictions for the AEW Grand Slam pay-per-view, which is happening tonight. If you're in the UK, the pre-show starts at 11:30 and the main card starts at 1 a.m. So drop me your predictions in the comment section below. And don't forget, as always, to leave us a like, drop us a comment, and subscribe to the wrestling group today.